Liberal hypocrisy. Liberal hypocrisy and hubris. After all, there's many reasons why the Democrats lost the 2024 election cycle. Arrogance, pride, once again, rigging a primary, going to bat for a senile old man named Joe Biden, and then, going to bat for a politician who just was never popular and never had what it takes in the first place. Oh, crumbling economy and a genocide in Gaza. And Jimmy Dore spoke about the liberal hubris towards Gaza. I think it's only fair we bring up Chicago's very own, because there's a lot that's happening in Gaza as the ongoing genocide is happening. Plus, oh no, 1,000 doctors and nurses have died in Gaza. It's all real. It's all true. And it's a long, sad history of this ongoing forever war.
Of course, in this region, it is the genocide. And we know RFK Jr. has posed with Shmuley Botek, who's been on this show. We know Tulsi Gabbard has changed her policy on Israel. I don't know how much money they got from Sheldon Adelson's widow. Do we have to expect that all the Palestinians will be killed ahead of the inauguration? Is that how sad and desperate and appalling the prospect is for Palestine? And of course, they're bombing Lebanon, they're bombing Iraq, they're bombing Yemen, they're bombing Syria just in the past few days, and Iran.
Well, I know as when I woke up this morning, I know there was a vote in the UN Security Council to call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. I don't know what the result of that is as of this.
The United States vetoed it. It was the only country to veto the resolution for an unconditional ceasefire.
So what's maddening to me is that the people of the United States don't rise up over this. And there was lots of people who I know who consider themselves liberals, who were unapologetically supporting the Harris nomination candidacy for president, even though she had vowed to not change anything, and she's vowed to keep funding. She was against an arms embargo. And when I would ask those people, do you not care about a literal genocide happening in, the same people who wag their finger at people like Viktor Orban, who's not committing a genocide, are doing everything they could to get Kamala Harris elected, who was committing a genocide and currently is. And they would say, well, it's important for immigrant rights, or, what's Donald Trump's going to do for the LGBTQ community and the trans community. And I was like, well, I would think that people would not put migrants' immigration status or LGBTQ ahead of a literal slaughter of children.
But people did. And look, how many videos did we cover of protesters being booed and hit and assaulted because they're calling out the genocide in Gaza against Democrat lawmakers like Kamala or Biden or Nancy or AOC or Bernie or anybody else. And, listen, I know this video is going to be tough to watch, but here is a prime example of really the hypocrisy a lot of these liberals, especially in the vote blue no matter who sphere. We'll return right back to Jimmy Dore, but remember this video here. Again, you have somebody yelling at a baby. What's wrong with you? And again, but see, a lot of these liberals, a lot of these vote blue no matter who people. All right, so a lot of them are hypocrites. Myself and Daniel ran into a lot of them back in the day. Hypocrites of the highest order. Let's rewind this here.
Genocide, and currently is. And they would say, well, it's important for immigrant rights, or, what's Donald Trump's going to do for the LGBTQ community and the trans community. And I was like, well, I would think that people would not put migrants' immigration status or LGBTQ ahead of a literal slaughter of children, but they did, and that's why what's going on is being allowed to go on, because people prioritize domestic policy over foreign policy. I made the case that you have to make whoever is in power funding that genocide, you have to make them pay a price for it. And that's why you can't give your vote to Kamala Harris. And so the thing is, it's doesn't look bright for them at all. It looks horrible. It looks.
Yeah, and it does. And look, if you look at a lot of these people in the Democrat sphere and the liberal sphere, they show you who they really are. I mean, I remember the DNC convention way back in August. I remember it, and so should all of you, because this took place here. This is who they are, and they wonder why they lost their coalition. See, Jimmy Dore, he's been dealing with these liberal hypocrites after 2016. He's one of the dauntless few, one of the very few that broke away from TYT and actually calling out the Democratic Party. And let's face it, Jimmy Dore was correct about the Democrats. Hard Lens Media, we were correct about everything about the Democrats. The failure of the Democrats must be a case study on how to witness a large major political party and its entire organizers collapse under the weight of people no longer supporting them as an institution. Oh, hey, look, Rainbow Band and just, blah, 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 blah.
Say it again.
Oh, yes, this guy. Remember him? Remember him? Intolerance. Hypocrisy comes in many forms.
Again. Mock them again. Mock the children again. Do it again. Do it again.
18 years out.
Do it again. Do that again. Do that again.
Do it again. Do it again.
18 years out.
One more time.
Do it again.
18 years out.
18 years old. Yusuf Hassan. 18 years old. Turn around and join the uncommitted delegates in the protest.
Blah, blah, blah. Gotta love the hypocrisy. But this is important because, look, we got to talk about what's happening. Israel has killed over 1,000 doctors and nurses in Gaza. More than 1,000 doctors and nurses are among at least 44,211 people killed in Israel's 13-month assault on the Gaza Strip. Officials in the Hamas-governed Palestinian enclave said Sunday. Over 310 other medical personnel were arrested, tortured, executed in prisons. Gaza's government media office also said in a statement. According to Turkey's state-run media as well, the Israeli army also prevented the entry of medical supplies, health delegations, and hundreds of surgeons into Gaza. Hospitals have been declared targets for the Israeli army, which bombed, besieged, and stormed them, killing doctors and nurses, injuring others after directly targeting them. The office said the statement came after the director of the main partially functioning hospital in northern Gaza was injured in an Israeli airstrike. Continuing on. I want to pull up this article here. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know why it went down. Apologies for that. The UN director said, these people, they target everyone, but I swear this will not stop us from continuing our humanitarian work. We'll keep on providing this service no matter what it costs us. Since the Hamas-led October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, in addition to killing tens of thousands of Palestinians, Israeli forces have injured at least 104,567 others. Along with attacking hospitals, they have destroyed many homes, schools, and religious sites and displaced most of the enclave's 2.3 million people. By the way, that number of 44,000 is much higher of deceased. Once the war is done and the rubble is being cleared, we will find more bodies. Israel, which has been armed by the Biden administration and bipartisan U.S. Congress, faces genocide case at the International Court of Justice over its conduct in Gaza. Additionally, the International Criminal Court earlier this week issued arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister and Foreign Defense Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, as well as Hamas leader Mohammed Deib as well. Last month, 99 U.S. healthcare providers who have volunteered in Gaza since last fall sent U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris a letter detailing the massive human toll from Israel's attack and urging him to end this madness now, to which the response was, you better vote for Biden, you better vote for Kamala, no pun intended right there, or else Trump, he's going to be really, really bad, very bad indeed. It is likely the death toll from this conflict is already greater than 118,000. It's much higher than 118,000. Don't lie there. An astonishing 5.4% of Gaza's population, the Americans wrote, with only marginal exceptions. Everyone in Gaza is sick, injured, or both. This includes every national aid worker, every international volunteer, and probably every Israeli hostage, every man, woman, and child. We quickly learned that our Palestinian healthcare colleagues were among the most traumatized people in Gaza, perhaps in the entire world, they continued. They were acutely aware that their work as healthcare providers had marked them as targets for Israel. This makes a mockery of the protected status hospitals and healthcare providers are granted under the oldest and most widely accepted provisions of international humanitarian law. Well, I mean, never forget about that young girl who was calling. We can't forget about the young girl who was calling for help as she was stuck in a car with all of her dead relatives, asking for help as a tank was shooting at the car. Two brave paramedic workers got in an ambulance and drove to her location. They couldn't save her because the tank shot at the ambulance, killing the two first aid workers. And that little girl also died. You know, when myself, Harlan's Media, or Jimmy Dore, or Do Dissidents, or INN, or RPN, or anybody else, so it's talking about this conflict, we do have to ask ourselves, well, what happened to that great party known as a Democrat Party? What happened to them? And the thing is, they never were who they said they were, the Democrats. All those anti-war groups, all those progressive groups that got intertwined and connected by the slithering paws, the slimy paws of the Democrats, got corrupted. Any anti-war group, any progressive group that was there soon fell in line and started following the orders. And whenever there was a challenge to them, oh, you were silenced. We know about being silenced. You were suppressed. You were pushed aside. You were ignored. You were dismissed. And now Democrats, you have to eat that humble pie. But yet, I'm still seeing so many Democrats, so many liberals on social media, so many of these actors and actresses and directors and influencers, or either that party leaders or party cheerleaders, saying, oh, if people just voted, things would be different and Kamala would be in office and the war would be over. No, it's not. We see Biden escalating the conflict not only by giving more military aid to Israel, but also fanning the flames of war in Ukraine. And we'll be getting to that a little bit later in the show. But it's just interesting to see. And the thing is, this was called out years ago, after 2016. I know that I've lost a lot of people who I called friends because I said, hey, the Democrats aren't who they say they are. To those same people, is it worth it being associated with a party that will allow a genocide to happen? Because I keep saying this to these liberals, because and again, we've all seen the scenario of people who would say, or maybe you haven't seen it, but maybe had an interaction or heard an iteration of the story. If I was alive during World War II, I would have been part of the resistance against the Nazis and protect the Jews from being hunted by the SS. Or if I was alive during the Civil War era, I would have been one of the good ones and be part of the Underground Railroad, help free the slaves. No, liberal. I want you to think that in your mind if you hear that story. No, liberal. You're never going to do that. You don't have what it takes to do it. That's just you fantasizing. Because in all reality, right now, how you would react during the Second World War and the atrocities taking place, how you'd react during the Civil War, you're doing it now. You're acting out now. We're seeing a genocide take place in real time. Seems to me that those quote-unquote liberals were more than happy to do the big salute high five for the Democrats. Because when the progressives were speaking out and calling out against Kamala Harris and the Democrats, those liberals were quick to tell those activists and organizers to shut up. You see, liberals, you'll never be that person in Germany long ago, while everyone was giving the salute to first name Adolf. You'll never be that guy folding his arms defiantly. You'll never be that person. Countless doctors and nurses are dying on the front lines right now. They're being targeted. And what are you doing? You're melting down on TikTok and defending a political party that purposely, and it seems how, I guess it loves to do so, just to lose. But that's the Democrats for you.
SWAT team took your neighbor today. Watched them as they walked him away. You told yourself extremists come in all different shapes. Met his eyes and lowered your gaze. Is it too late for us to ever change? We are collecting the dust of better days. They're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to be safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Sheriff stopped your daughter today. Pepper sprayed her twice in the face. He must have had good reason if he'd treat her that way. At least that's what they've taught you to say. But is it too late for us to ever change? Once we're collecting the dust of better days, and they're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to feel safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Feds arrived and had you detained. Said you'd made some posts they want changed. Tased you till you felt like you'd forgotten your name, or life before they had you contained. Oh, life before they had you contained. SWAT team took your neighbor today.